Right friends, welcome back to Banking Awareness Current Affairs Q&A, and this session of 12:30 hours is dedicated basically for banking awareness students, and from next week onwards we will start the standard GK also, and this session basically dedicated to bank exams, and at the same time after the 3rd week of June, that means probably from around the 20th of June, we will look at quantitative aptitude also as already promised by me. So, after the civil services preliminary examination, we will concentrate much more on banking service examinations, and for the time being this 12:30 session is dedicated for banking. And please first view all the banking sessions, whatever I have recorded till date, whether it is the questions and answers, abbreviations, whether it is true false, because lot many things were discussed in those lectures, 30 lectures, Q&A, true false, abbreviations. In all those I discussed several key concepts. At the same time interview modules are also there. Please view all the modules and subsequently join for this banking awareness current affairs discussion. Then you will follow quite easily, and everything, all the concepts you can recall easily, and at the same time these will be imprint in your mind throughout life, right. Without having the basic knowledge in banking, you may not be able to follow these discussions, right. The first one is, which of the following is not for short duration? Here the question, I am talking about loans. One is a bridge loan. Bridge loan means, the meaning is, if let us take for example Reliance Industries. Reliance Industries is taking a loan. Normally they take for longer duration, and some mismatches are there in between. So, as a short gap measure for a period of less than 1 year, normally if a corporate is taking a loan from the bank for short duration, it is known as bridge loan. Commercial paper means the top rated companies, they issue commercial paper and borrow money from the market, that is commercial paper, and here also maximum time is 1 year. Bill discounting is a short duration. I sold computers to a firm in Delhi. I may take a lot of time for getting the money from Delhi. Meanwhile, I will take this invoice to the bank and subsequently I will get some money from the bank. So, this is bill discounting, right. So, these are basically for short term, and a term loan is normally for longer duration. So, second one, which of the following is or examples of non-fund based support? One important point in the banking parlance, one is fund based support, second one is non-fund based support. Please understand, when you are taking some loan, that is a fund based support, and if bank is giving a guarantee on your behalf, that is non-fund based support, then bank will come into picture only when you fail. So, fund based support means giving directly fund, that means giving loan. Non-fund based support is giving guarantee on your behalf. So, if you look at non-fund based support giving the guarantees, examples are performance guarantee, bank guarantee, letter of credit. These are examples of non-fund based support, and fund based are basically giving a loan. Cash credit, overdraft, term loans, these are all examples of fund based supports, right. So, here when fund based support, the limit is given and you can borrow money, that is different story. There are two types, we will come to it a little while from now, and please understand banking loans can be classified as fund based support, non-fund based support. Fund based support is giving loan, non-fund based support is giving guarantee. So, here letter of credit is the answer. Authorization given by the banks, banks themselves will authorize to the debtors. Debtor means when I have taken loan from the bank, bank is creditor, I am the debtor. So, authorization given by State Bank of India to me to postpone servicing of loan. Servicing of loan means paying back loan regularly is servicing of loan. So, authorization given by the banks to the debtors, bank is creditor, I am the debtor, to postpone servicing of loan is known as moratorium. Under special circumstances, this moratorium can be given by the banks. Which of the following is the most volatile investment? I am talking about foreign currency convertible bonds, foreign direct investment, external commercial borrowing, and foreign portfolio investment is the most volatile investment. That means, as and when conditions are favorable in one country, they will come and invest, and as and when the conditions are favorable in some other country, they will take away overnight. So, here the most volatile investment is foreign portfolio investment. Which of the following cannot be classified as revolving credit? This word is very, very important. Revolving credit means the limit is given. The limit is given, you are free to borrow up to that limit. That is known as revolving credit. Overdraft. Overdraft means limit is given 5 lakhs. So, up to 5 lakhs you can use bank money if you want. If you do not want, you need not take the loan. So, limit is given. It is up to you whether to use it or not. You can use 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh, but you cannot exceed 5 lakh because the limit is 5 lakh. So, overdraft, cash credit, credit card also same thing. Your limit is 30,000, you can use whenever you want. So, these are all examples of revolving credit, please understand. So, we discussed about fund based support, non-fund based support. In fund based support, you can have direct loan mechanism where the amount is disbursed at a time by the bank, and the mechanism of revolving credit will also be there, and revolving credit examples are overdraft, cash credit, credit card. These are all examples of revolving credit, but personal loan is not example of revolving credit. Which of the following will normally have more interest? Tax-free bonds. Tax-free bonds basically will have less interest because when you are investing in tax-free bonds, some tax concessions will be given to you. Second point is tax-free bonds are normally allowed for nation building projects like electrification, like developing infrastructure. So, for nation building projects only tax-free bonds are allowed. Bonds by AAA rated companies. If AAA rated companies are releasing bonds, they are highly rated companies. So, therefore, the interest will be less normally. Definitely, it is more than the interest on tax-free bonds. Then bonds by public sector undertakings, the interest will be still less than this AAA rated companies, and intercorporate deposits will have more interest rate. Intercorporate deposits means the borrowing of a small company from big company, that is intercorporate deposit. So, that will have more interest. So, out of all the given options here, tax-free bonds will normally have lesser interest, followed by more interest by bonds by public sector undertakings, and slightly more interest by bonds by AAA rated companies. Then intercorporate deposits will have higher interest. So, whatever the order I told, that is in general, need not be always, please understand, but undoubtedly intercorporate deposits will have the highest interest of these. RBI regulates a ceiling limit of interest for, and one important aspect is RBI deregulated interest rates. Deregulated means opposite of regulation. you are controlling something, and deregulation means you are not controlling that. So, RBI deregulated interest rates almost 20 years ago for fixed deposits. So, fixed deposits, they are no more regulated by RBI, recurring no more regulated, savings no more regulated, banks are free to announce their own interest rates, but FCNRB deposits, the ceiling is regulated by Reserve Bank of India. So, Reserve Bank of India regulates the ceiling limit of interest for FCNR deposits. FCNR deposits are fixed deposits, they are deposited by the NRIs, right. Which of the following can be considered as the channel for credit to high risk industries? High risk industries, and previously we discussed about intercorporate deposits. Intercorporate deposits, I told you, small company borrowing from big company. Why small company borrow from big company at higher interest? The simple reason is the small company may not get loan from a bank. That is why they will approach big company. Big company normally gets loan from the banks at lesser interest. So, small company will approach big company and big company will charge higher interest. Here also, when the high risk industries are there, and here credit sometimes they may not get from bank and they may get loan from non-banking financial companies like Bajaj Finance, Sriram Finance, and under these circumstances this is known as a shadow banking, please understand, right. So, the answer here is shadow banking, when the channel for credit to high risk industries, that means when they are not getting loans from the banks, they go to non-banking financial companies, and the mechanism here is known as a shadow banking. GSTN, Goods and Services Tax Network, is managed by Infosys, Goods and Services Tax Network. GST Council, yesterday I told, it is headed by the Finance Minister, state's share is 2/3, centre's share is 1/3, and similarly GSTN is Goods and Services Tax Network, and here this GST network, the center and states put together share is 49% and the remaining organizations is 51%. So, it is a private limited company and non-governmental private limited company. That is the main thing about GSTN. Online website Sachet, this is the initiative of Reserve Bank of India, and here if some illegal deposits are taken and at the same time somebody is not paying money after taking the deposit, somebody is doing some fraudulent transaction in case of deposits is concerned, then this online initiative you can log in with and make the complaints. That is the Sachet, the initiative of Reserve Bank of India. Resident Indians who returned from foreign land, all of you are familiar with the accounts allowed for NRIs. NRIs, the accounts allowed are NRO account, NRE account, both are maintained in rupee, FCNR account in foreign currencies. So, these three are meant for NRIs, and this RFC account is resident foreign currency account. This is normally allowed for the resident Indians who returned from foreign land. So, they can hold foreign currency through RFC account. Which of the following will normally have higher interest? Here you see certificates of deposit. Certificates of deposit are issued by banks and financial institutions, if I am not wrong, and here this certificates of deposit will have normally lesser interest, fixed deposits will have normally still lesser interest. Commercial paper is issued by high rated corporates. When they issue commercial paper to borrow money from the market, the interest rate probably is not higher than corporate loans. So, corporate loans will have higher interest here. Here corporates, if they want money for shorter duration, high rated corporates, if they want money for shorter duration, They can borrow from bank, they can issue commercial paper and borrow from the public. So, here when the bank interest rate is less, they will go for banks. So, normally commercial paper interest rates are lesser than the interest rates charged by the banks. So, the right answer here is corporate loans. Most favored nation status is the obligation under World Trade Organization, WTO. Most favored nation means you should not discriminate the countries, or you can say all are equal. So, here most favored nation status means it is not giving special status to any country, basically it is to give equal treatment to all, right. So, it is the initiative of WTO. Algo trading or high frequency trading pertains to, this is quite frequently in the news in recent times, algo trading or high frequency trading. This pertains to stock markets, and here basically in algo trading and high frequency trading, an algorithm will be devised and number of transactions, huge transactions will take place in a fraction of a second because of that algorithm, and SEBI is looking at this algo trading and high frequency trading because of the reason sometimes it benefits certain individuals or certain companies, right. So, if someone talks about algo trading or high frequency trading, that pertains to stock markets. Who represents as India's governor or on board of governors in IMF and World Bank meetings? Board of governors in IMF and World Bank meetings, they are represented by the Union Finance Minister. Please understand, meetings are held regularly in IMF. Recently also meeting was held and our Finance Minister attended the meeting. So, here India's governor on board of governors meeting in IMF and World Bank is the Finance Minister, please understand, and these two are headquartered in Washington, please do not forget. Governing Council for BCSBI, this is appointed by Reserve Bank of India. So, when it comes to BCSBI, 4 points I would like to tell you, do not forget. One is it was established based on SS Tarapur committee recommendations. Second point is it was registered as a society. Third point is it is a self-regulatory organization for the banks because they have to divide the code so as to maintain the ethics. So, it is self-regulatory organization for the banks, and its governing council is appointed by the Reserve Bank of India. So, these things do not forget. Which of the following bank account is considered as running and active account? And in fixed deposits, bulk deposits, recurring deposits, here fixed deposit means we deposit money, after the period is over we will take back. Bulk deposit also same story. Recurring deposit means regularly, maybe every month we deposit money and we will take back once the tenure is over. So, these three are not examples of running and active account. The examples of running and active accounts are current account deposit, savings account deposit. So, savings account deposit and current account deposits are demand deposits, all of you are familiar with, and not only that, they are also known as running and active accounts. Which of the following determines the profitability of banks? Which of the following determines the profitability of the banks? The answer here is a spread. What is meant by spread? Spread is, let us assume the bank's MCLR is 8%. Marginal cost of funds based lending rate, let us assume bank's MCLR is 8%. Home loans will be at 8.5%. The spread is just 0.5%. Corporate loans are 11%. The spread is 3%. Personal loans are 15%. The spread is 7%. So, the difference between the rate of interest on which they are giving and the MCLR is known as spread. So, normally when the spread is more, then the profitability is most likely to be more, and second point is spread depends on the risk profile of the loan. Spread depends on the risk profile of the loan. If the risk is less, spread will be less. If the risk is more, spread will be more. So, this is one important aspect one should not forget. Which of the following are not covered under Banking Ombudsman scheme? Banking Ombudsman scheme is basically to look at the complaints, and here Reserve Bank of India appoints Banking Ombudsman, and Deputy Governor is basically the appellate authority, you can say. And here regional rural banks, they are covered. Foreign banks operating in India, they are also covered. Cooperative banks, they are also covered. But in Banking Ombudsman scheme, one important aspect is primary agricultural credit societies are not covered. So, in Banking Ombudsman scheme, that means to make complaints against the banks, all the public sector banks, all the private sector banks, regional rural banks, cooperative banks, foreign banks operating in India, all are covered except PACS, right? Primary agricultural credit societies. Periodical verification of KYC. Initial KYC, after that periodical verification of KYC is also done, and it is the 2 years for high risk customers, 2 years for high risk customers, it is 10 years for low risk customers, and 8 years for medium risk customers. So, please understand the answer here is 10. Minimum capital adequacy ratio, and this capital adequacy ratio is important because banks, while expanding their loans, they have to maintain certain capital, that is capital adequacy ratio. And for universal banks, it is 9%, and capital adequacy ratio is prescribed more for small finance banks and payments banks, that is 15%, please understand. And the capital adequacy ratio for universal banks of 9% is to be ensured by 2019, that is as per Basel norms. Name the only private sector bank in the country which is designated as RBI's agent for banking business and carries out the banking business of central government. The answer here is J&K Bank. Please understand, J&K Bank is the only private sector bank in the country which is designated as RBI's agent for banking business and carries out the banking business of central government. Then the next one is Banking Ombudsman is appointed by Reserve Bank of India, I have already told you. Maximum limit allowed for startup companies to access external commercial borrowing. What is meant by external commercial borrowing? The borrowing by Indian corporates, whether it is public sector or private sector, it does not matter. The borrowing by Indian corporates from the foreign land. Why they go to foreign land? Because of the reason interest rates are less there. But what is the risk? The risk is currency risk may be there. And the next question is, what is to be done to prevent the currency risk? Hedging is to be done to prevent the currency risk. I posed 3 questions, I gave 3 answers. So, these are very important from examination perspective, and recently government allowed startup companies to access external commercial borrowing. Per financial year, it should not be more than $3 million, and this is one important aspect. And with this, we came to the end of today's lecture, and Monday, English made simple, we will continue the 5th session, Tuesday onwards, whether it will be banking Q&A or it may be standard GK, and all these lectures will be highly useful to you when you write IBPS, PO or clerical examinations in the months of November, December or so, right friends. So, please do join for learning space lectures. It is something unique and different from others you might have realized by this time. So, stay with learning space for your success. Have a nice day. Thank you.